college football playoffs, new 5+7 format. So we said we were going to talk a little bit about why this matters for Notre Dame wanting to come to the Big Ten. So we'll hit on that really fast, and then we'll open it up to these guys and let them kind of talk about was this the correct decision and whatnot. So what has happened here is that even if Notre Dame finishes the season the number 1 team ranked in the nation, Notre Dame would not be able to get a bye currently in the college football playoffs because the first 4 spots, the bye spots, are reserved for the highest ranked conference champions, which means you're probably going to see a bye from a Big Ten team, an SEC team, a Big 12 team, and an ACC team. Obviously, if a group of 5 teams sneaks up there or something like that, but even if Notre Dame is ranked number 1 and like the Big 12's winner is ranked 8th, like they would still get the bye over Notre Dame because of the way things are written up there. So that is one of the reasons why there's so much speculation now that Notre Dame is going to join a conference, because like no matter what Notre Dame does, if they want to win the national championship, they're going to have to win 4 games. They can play as well as they possibly want in the regular season, but you're going to have to win 4 games in the college football playoffs, which is going to be difficult to do in order to get there. So that's one of the big reasons there. But Connor, your thoughts just on the 5+7 model. Was this the correct decision? Do you think this is good for the Big Ten, bad for the Big Ten? What's your thoughts here on that?
I don't know if it has really a good or a bad outlook, in my opinion, towards the Big Ten. I like that they did it. I think that there was a no doubter for me. I think I read that it was unanimous for them too. I could be wrong. I don't know about that, but
No, it was, yeah.
yeah. So it was just a no-brainer. And for the Big Ten, though, I just think that we were likely to have 2 teams no matter what. As once I saw 12, I just before I saw the format, I'm already sitting here thinking there's guaranteed 2 teams, maybe even 3. Who knows? I kind of go back and forth with that with the SEC, but so that to me, it doesn't really have the worst of outlooks on it. But yeah, I'm all in favor of it. It gives a team like Iowa a chance to not win their conference and still have an upward shot.
Yeah, I think you could see 3 teams get in. Sure. I mean, because I look at it and it's like, this past year, who would have been better for the college football playoffs? Like, who won the Big 12 last year? Was it Kansas State, or it was Texas? But other than Texas, like, was Oklahoma really better than Penn State?
No chance.
No. Like, so who deserves to be in the playoffs there? Like Penn State or Oklahoma? I'd argue Penn State did. Like Oklahoma had a nice game, but they also had a cupcake schedule, and they, were barely able to finish with that. So, it's interesting. It's interesting to think about. But yeah, Zach, your thoughts on just was this the correct decision? Is this good or bad for the Big Ten? What do you think?
It was the correct decision. I think I'm going to maybe take this a different direction if that's all right. I think it's transitional because I think we're probably all in agreement that this is moving towards the Big Ten and the SEC probably breaking away at some point. And so I think this is the right system for what college football used to be. Because one of the things I've always been frustrated about is that you can't play your way in. So Florida State is the perfect example.
Right.
For them to win their conference and go undefeated and not get in, I don't care, and maybe you guys disagree with me on this, but no one will ever convince me that that was the right decision to leave them out.
No, I agree with you.
Like never. And that's been my frustration with the system we've had. And so when people, I think Tom Fornelli was like, I preferred the 2+0 system, like the old BCS. I'm like, that's stupid. Like, and I think Tom's a great analyst, but
you have no way of earning it. Like you're just
right.
Whatever the opinion is.
Yeah. What, who did we think were the best 2? Whenever you start saying, well, this is who we think, I'm just like, stop it. It wasn't earned.
Right.
And I like that there's an automatic berth for a group of 5 team. I like that because I think then it includes them. I don't care if they get killed in the first round. Like, I think it's great for the sport. I think I think underdog stories are really, really good. And I get that college, there's not as much parity, but if you want to create more parity, I think you have to do certain things to create it. And this is it's not the only thing you can do. If you just do this and then do nothing to help elsewhere, then they're going to get slaughtered 98-0 every year. But this is at least a step in the right direction. My one critique of it, and I actually saw someone post about this, the 5 seed is going to be a conference champion, and they get the 12 seed. And it's like, if the 5 seed happens to be like the Sun Belt champion who went 8-4, but was the best group of 5 team, and then they get like Clemson as a non-conference champ who went like 11-1 or 10-2. It's like, we're going to reward the number 12 team by giving them. So that's my like one critique with the system. Like, I don't know if I would have on one hand, I understand giving the conference champions buys, but or like the top 5 seeds, I just don't know. I don't know. It could be better, but with all things considered, where the sport is right now, I think it's the right decision.
Yeah, I have to look at this at 2 levels. You know, as like a college football fan, I think it's great that the group of 5 is able to get their champion in. You know, like that, to me, that makes sense. That gives them, you know, viability to make it in. Like, as a college football fan, I would love to see every conference. Like, I'd be like March Madness, where every conference gets in. And I mean, how much fun would we be having if Liberty upset, you know, Penn State or something like that? Just got Penn State on the brain. I don't think they actually would, but something like that. Like, how much fun would that be to see a group of 5 team come in and upset something? Like, it would be so much fun. I mean, obviously, as long as you're not a fan of the team that gets upset, but to me, like, as a college football fan, that's what I want to see. As a Big Ten fan, selfishly thinking, I want to see, you know, Wisconsin and Iowa and those teams like that earn their due, because, you know, you have Iowa face Liberty last year. I think Iowa wins that game. You have Wisconsin face Liberty last year. I think Wisconsin wins that game, even though Wisconsin wasn't great. I mean, because I still think that the talent and the size and the ability of these teams are better than teams like Liberty, who, you know, are a nice story, but let's face it, they played the worst schedule in all of college football, and they went undefeated. Good for them, but like, that's kind of going to be the formula now for group of 5 teams. Like, just play the easiest cupcake schedule ever, and you'll get in. What do you think, Connor?
Oh, no doubt. And I think that's like the one thing Notre Dame's still weighing on themselves before joining a conference is they still have power to control their schedule, and they can make it a cupcake every time for it. And I think they'd be fine with having that 6 or 7 seed every year. Obviously, if you can play one less game, why wouldn't you like try to play for that? But I don't know. I definitely think that you're right that a team like Iowa or Wisconsin is probably going to beat up on a team like that. But I've seen Iowa lose to North Dakota State, who is not even in the FBS. So I'm all on board for anything can happen kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
And I think, to go off, and this is, I think, something you mentioned, JR, with the tampering stuff, but the point, and this has always been my frustration with the system, is the point is to care about the players. And so as a fan, like, I get media and rights and all that stuff and what's best for my team. But what I love about this is every team now knows there is a pathway to the national championship.
Yes.
And that, to me, matters so much, because you're not going to get any more of these, you know, forget Florida State's. You're not going to get any of these Liberties or UCFs that have an undefeated season. It's like, what's your reward? Oh, a bowl game. Which I'm like, well, that's nice, but like, you're not going to let me compete for a national championship? And like, I don't like this idea. It's like, well, you're just not good enough for that. Like, I just think that's dumb. And it defeats the purpose of competition. And so for all the money that's in it and whatnot, I don't care about that. I want to do what's best for the players. And I think going in this direction, you can start, every team can start the season talking to their boys and saying, hey, we win all our games, we're going to be in the playoff. Now, that's maybe not as true with group of 5 teams, but for the most part, you win all your games, you win your conference, you're going to be in the dance. And that to me matters a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's special about, basketball and March Madness and stuff like that. Like, you win your conference, you have a chance. And like, that's what's special about some of those like smaller conference tournaments is like, you see this team, who was it last year? Was it Drake or somebody like that like they were a lock and everybody thought they were going to make it to the tournament because they were going to win their conference tournament. And then it was the team that was barely 500 that beat them, and they made it to they made it to the NCAA tournament instead. So, obviously we won't have that drastic of stuff going on, but still, we do have a few comments here. I forgot to put them up. Sorry, people. But Chris said, anything screws Notre Dame, that makes me happy. Yes, I like that as well, Chris. He also said 3 Big Ten teams should be a lock annually. I agree. I think the Big Ten should have 3 annually, and the SEC should have 3 annually, and then maybe you see a second ACC team in there.
Can I ask a question off that?
Yeah.
What do you think the max possibility is for the Big Ten on a given year?
I mean, I don't think they'd ever get more than 4. I think 4 is possible, but I think 4 is also unlikely.
Yeah, I'm kind of at 3. I mean, I would. It should be a lock, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it dwindle a little bit there. They favor the SEC. The bias is not surprising.
Yeah,
5. I mean, that would be crazy.
That's my thing with 5 is like I feel like the SEC bias is too strong. Like, do I think 5 teams could be good enough? Heck yeah,
for sure.
But,
no, absolutely. I just don't think they would ever do it just for the sake of they don't favor.
But I'd
the
love
Big
to see
Ten.
that. What do you think, Zach?
Well, I wondered if 5. My only thought is like you could have, because I'm trying to do the math here. 1 from the ACC, 1 from the Big 12, 1 from the Group of 5, and then you have 1 and 1 with SEC and Big Ten. You'd have 7 at large.
Yeah,
I think there's a world. I would agree. I think 2 to 3 is most likely every year, but I think there's a world where, because schedules don't match up, like you have like 3 11-1 teams and a 12-0 team and maybe a 10-2 team. And maybe the 10-2 teams like in Ohio State, whoever is like, well, they're really, really good.
Yeah.
So I think 5 might be in the realm of possibility, but I think a lot of factors, but I that's helpful. The SEC bias, I think is right. And my guess is they will want to put in a second at large from either the ACC or the Big 12.
Yeah. I think like if Clemson makes it to the ACC championship versus Florida State, there's no way they leave both of them out, or one of them out. Like they're going to put both of them in there. So, Chris has an example. Rutgers has a cake schedule and could end up ranked high enough to go 4th or 5th from the Big. Yeah, I mean they do have an easy schedule. I look forward to talking about Rutgers. I think Alex coming on next week or a couple weeks in, so we'll talk Rutgers then. But yeah, I mean it just depends on how much does the committee value that schedule, because are they going to look at them and say, oh, it's Rutgers and they play this cake schedule, or are they actually going to give them their due?
Yeah,
so
they will say no, it's Rutgers. They played a cake schedule, unfortunately.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Right. Thanks for listening to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.